Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming. I think today is the fourth lecture. So last week we started to see real algorithms, right? So last time we explained this, how it works, how to build it. So I think you know exactly how is it built and how is it designed. And if I give you like a homework or a small project to write your own DAS, I think you have enough information in how to do it, right? We know the bigger block, and then we zoomed in to every single block and how it works, right? So, but I will not give you that. You don't have to do that because it's already written. You could import it into your programs and use it. It's a good exercise, but we'll let you do different exercises. All right. Today we'll continue the game and we'll talk about another block. Encryption algorithm, which is AES. First of all, as we explained last time, the algorithms generally, if there are two words, we divide the word in two. There's Feistel and non-Feistel. Anybody remembers the difference? Yes?
I think the non-Feistel is only invertible, isn't it?
It is only invertible elements, and Feistel could be invertible, not invertible elements. So this is Feistel, and AES is non-Feistel, as we will see. Okay, that means all the components are invertible. Okay. So Feistel, non-Feistel, and generally speaking, when we do the algorithms or the encryption algorithms, you have public cryptography and private cryptography, right? So, or one key or two keys. All right. So, the most common one, maybe you know, is the public in cryptography, where you have one key. So, if you have a sender, for example, a sender and a receiver, and they need to send the data. So they have, for the packet they send, they have to share the same key, for example. Okay, and the same key is used to encrypt the data and decrypt the data, right? So of course there is a big topic in here, big topic here, which is how to share the keys, how keys are shared. That's a key management. That's a completely different topic. We'll talk about it later. Okay, but basically to be able to encrypt the data and send it from source to destination, they have to agree on a key. Okay, and they have to use the same algorithms. They have to use same algorithms. Okay, Kirchhoff law. What does it say? Scott, you look at me.
One about hide the key and not.
Exactly.
Not the
Exactly. So everything is known to everybody except the key. That's the talent, to hide the key. You have a strong key and you hide the key. Okay, the algorithms are all known. This you know it, AES you know it, any other RSA you know it, RC4 you know it. All the algorithms, it's publicly available and known. There is no talent in hiding the algorithm. The talent is in hiding what? The keys, right? All right, what else? So this is one technique, which is like, like dividing the word. Okay, there is public cryptography, there is one key shared, and there is another technique where it's two keys. Okay, so one of the keys is private, and the other key is private, and the other is public. I'm not sure how to P you say. Okay, and then here we have two keys. One is private, and the other one is public, right? So it's exactly like when you go to your bank. I mean, some of you maybe they have a deposit box in the bank. Okay, usually there's two keys, right? So the bank has a key and you have a key, right? So you cannot open it without the key of the bank, and the bank operator cannot open it without your key. Let's say that you lose the key. What they have to do? They have to destroy the lock. All right, destroy the lock. All right, the same thing in here. Okay, so I mean, there's different applications. We'll talk about it. So you could, if you encrypt with your public key, Okay, they have to use the private key to unlock it. And if you encrypt with your private key, they have to use the public key to, we'll talk about it, what is the difference and why this used. Okay, so we spoke about FISTLE, non-FISTLE, alright? Okay, we spoke about public cryptography and private cryptography. We spoke about also what? Block cipher and stream cipher. So block cipher is like you put your data in a blocks, let's say n, and it could be 128 for example, and you encrypt it, you'll get another cipher which is n equals 128 bits for example. This we call a block. So you encrypt the whole block altogether. Alright? As opposed to the stream cipher, so you encrypt bit by bit, bit after bit, or you could encrypt character after character or byte after byte. Stream. Okay, stream. Alright? And everything has its own application. Right? So today we're gonna talk about DES and triple DES and 2DES is part of, still used, but part of the history. Why? Because they found it's not very secure. Alright? It's a small key. This is how many bits of a key? 56. Okay, 56 bits. And that's too short, too small. The least we need 128, and nowadays 28 to 56 and even more. Alright? So AES, which we're gonna explain today, which is non-FISTLE algorithm, kind of replaced the DES. Alright? And that's for the block. Alright? So let's delve in, like we did last time. We have a big box and it has small boxes, black boxes. We're gonna go inside every box and see how it works, how it's designed. And then after that we'll check. I was talking about, and I started to review because I thought I started the projector, I didn't warm up. Seems I forgot to start the projector. Anyways, so any questions you have? Alright. So today we're gonna talk about two things. We're gonna talk about the AES, how it exactly works, and then we'll talk about the modern cipher, how it works. Okay. There's 5 modes, we call them modes of operation. We're gonna take a look at how it exactly works, and hopefully we'll finish early today. By 8:20, 25, hopefully we'll finish. Alright, so, alright. Okay, so, alright, so advanced encryption, AES, okay. Alright, so the advanced encryption standard AES is a symmetric key block cipher. So it's a symmetric key first. That means how many keys we're gonna have? One shared key, one private key. So it's a symmetric key, alright, and it's a block cipher. And it was published by the National Institute of Standards, NIST in 2001. Alright, so little bit of the history, how it started. Usually the government or the NIST put the competition for a new algorithm. People apply for it, and then it gets selected. That's exactly what happened. Make long story short, but it was created, I think, by 3 people, if I did not forget, and became available in December 2001. The criteria defined by NIST for selecting ES is that it has to be secure, the security, the cost, and the implementation. And the cost in here, that means also the cost of the implementation. How would the cost? It's like the computation cost. Alright? So security, it has to be very secure. That means cryptanalysts don't have fun with it. Cost, what is the cost? Computational cost. Alright? You don't want to have the sluggish algorithm that every time you need to encrypt a hard disk drive takes you forever. And then the implementation. Okay, you need implementation that you could do it in a software and in a hardware. Okay? Most of the encryption happening in Europe, like BitLockers and all this happening is a hardware nowadays. Okay, you keep The CPU alone, keep it alone. Do whatever you want to do. For encryption, we have the chip, we have the hardware in your motherboard. Okay, that is responsible for the encryption. All right. So we agreed that it's what non-Feistel cipher that encrypts and decrypts a data block of 20. So what's the size of the data block? 128. Okay. And how many rounds to use? There's 3 versions. Remember how many rounds we have in this? 15, right? So in here you could have 10 rounds or 12 rounds or 14 rounds. Okay, we'll see the design. The key size depends on the number of the rounds. The minimum for 10 rounds is how much? 192. For 12 rounds, 256. No, for 10 rounds, I'm sorry, it's 128. And for 12 is 192. And for 14 rounds is 256. So the key could be 128 or 192 or 256. Which one is much secure? 256. The longer the key, always that much more secure. All right. So here is the general design of the ES encryption cipher. All right. So always you start with what? With your plain text, right? You start with the plain text in here, and then it's gonna go inside the ES. All right. If you take at the right side of your figure in here, what do you have? You have the key expansion. Okay, like we have in this. We started from 1 key, right? 64, which had a priority bits. We remove the priority bits, we have 56 bits. And then from the 56 bits, we generated how many keys? 15, right? 14 or 15? 14, all right? 15. And each one is how many bits? 48. Remember this history from last week? All right? Well, same thing in here. In here we have the key, the major key, and we're gonna generate, it's 128 bits. Okay, we're gonna generate 128 bit key. And how many of them gonna generate? 10 plus 1, which is 11. 10 plus 1, so we have 10 rounds, we're gonna generate 1 more. If we have like 12 rounds, then we're gonna generate 13. So number of rounds plus 1. All right? So we start, the first thing is with the first step is a pre-round transformation. Remember, we learned about 2 important boxes last week, S box and P box, right? What is S box? Substitution box. And P box? Permutation, right? Right? So we know exactly how it works, right? So we have a pre-round transformation. We'll take a look deep in this box. Then it's gonna go to round 1 up to round N, let's say 10. Okay, let's focus in the first model, which has 10 rounds. All right. Okay, so how many keys are gonna have? 11. From K0 to Kn on. What is NR? The number of the rounds. Okay, so just for your information, the key could be in here. The key could be 128 bit or 192 bit or 256 bits. All right, depends on the number of rounds. I know the key size. 10 rounds, 128. 12 rounds, 192. 14 rounds, 256. Relationship between the number of rounds and the cipher key size. All right, we're gonna go all the way in here. What we're gonna have in here? 128 bit of ciphertext. 128 plain text. The output will be ciphertext. Okay, similar size. Good so far? All right. And please stop me if you have questions. Okay. All right. So let's cover some of the basics. We are dealing with data, and the data is put together in a blocks, right? So what is the smallest unit of the data? Bit. All right. We don't deal with bits. Okay. So so you have 8 bits together. Will make a byte. So the smallest block in this algorithm is byte. Okay, which has 8 bits. All right. And we could arrange them in 1 row or 1 column. Let me go back to my station. Okay, you could arrange them. This is the byte. which has 8 bits, you could put it in a raw or in a column. All right. So if you have 4 bytes, that will form what? A word. A word. So the word has how many bytes? How many bytes? 4 bytes. That means how many bits? 32. All right. And again, you could arrange them in row or in a column. All right. All right. So the main unit of our data is a block. What is the size of the block? 128. Remember the block. So if it's 128 bit, it means how many bytes? 16 bytes, right? Right? Because 16 times 8 is 128. It means how many words? 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, 16. 16 words, okay? Just okay, and this is important to look. So the block is 128 bits. It's 16 words. Alright? And quite often the block we make a state. We make a state. So how we make a state? We arrange it this way. Okay? So word 0, word 1, word 2, word 3. Okay, so B0, B1, B2. So the word 1 we put it here, word 2 we put it here, word 3 we put it here, and word 4 we put it here. Okay? But we shift, of course, because we always start counting from 0. So word 0 goes in here, word 1 goes here, word 2 goes here, word 3 goes here. Simple. Alright? So our game in here is the block. That's the main component. Okay? Many times when we try to play with it, we arrange it differently in a set. That's exactly how it is set. And the same order. Okay, the same order. So B 15, it's not B0. We start from B0 until B15. Okay? B0, B1, B2, B3, B4, and so on and so forth. Alright? Okay? Alright. So now block to state and state to block. We already explained this. Okay, so exactly in here, as you see in here. So the block, it has like 16 words. 16 words. So the way you convert it, okay, it goes like, look at in here. It goes down, then up, then down, then up like this. That means you see in here, look at in here, B0, B1, B2, B3, then B4, B5 until the end. So you should have the algorithm to convert from block to a set and from set to block. Simple, right? Alright, so as an example, so changing plain text to a state. So we have a text, for example, whatever the text, AES uses a matrix. Alright, so we have to have our block. What is the size of the block? 128 bit. If it's short, what we do? Padding. We do padding. So that's what happened in here. Okay, we padded ZZ, anything only now. And this is a conversion for the hexadecimal. Alright? So this one, this line, what we call it? Block. Block, right? And to convert it to a set, what you do? So 0, 0, okay, here, 0, 0, 0, 4, 0, 4, 12, 12, 14, 14, and so on and so forth. Right? So I don't think you can get confused. You can't get confused after this, right? Okay, how to convert and convert back. Alright, so the structure of each round, how many rounds we have? 10 rounds. Okay, we start from where? We start with what? With a block or a state. We start actually with a state. So we have the block, we convert it to a state. Do you know how to convert the block to state? Yes. Speak up, wake up. Yes. Okay. All right. So we start with a state. You start with a state. Okay. State of Connecticut. Right. So you start with a state, right? Okay. So and from the state, you're gonna go the first box. What do you do with it? Substitute bytes. We'll take a look. We'll delve deep inside it. Then the output will be a different state. Then after that, you're gonna go to shift rows. We'll explain it. Then the output will be another state. Then what you have in here, mix columns, okay? Right? So you see, in here, we start mixing with the bytes. How many bytes we have in each state? How many bytes? 16. 4 times, alright? Right? How much we start playing with them. Then after that, we play with the rows. Then after that, we play with the columns. Alright? Remember, what are the major two goals to achieve in cryptography? Diffusion and confusion. Diffusion and confusion. Okay? Alright. Okay, so then after that, okay, so far, we just blended. Alright? And because each block is invertible, we did not do much. Each block is invertible. Remember, it's non-vital. What is non-vital? We use invertible blocks. Alright. So what comes at the end, what we use the key. We use the key, okay, the round key, and then again we're gonna get a state. So this state, the output state, will go where?
Next round.
To the next round. And we repeat the process how many times? 10 times. Alright? So, okay, so let's take a look deeper. So, let's start with the transformations. What is transformations? Okay. So to provide security, ES uses 4 types of transformations: substitution, permutation, mixing, and key adding. 4 things. Okay? Substitution, permutation, mixing, and key adding. Alright. So ES, like this, uses substitution. Okay, you know what substitution, right? ES two invertible transforms. So the first one is substitute bytes. Substitute bytes, right? If you remember in this, what did you substitute bits or bytes? We did bit substitution. Here we do byte substitution. Okay? So we take a byte and replace it with another byte, right? So the first transformation sub bytes is used as encryption sites. So to substitute a byte, we interpret the byte as a 2 hexadecimal digits, right? So how you write the hexadecimal? The byte. Okay, how you write the byte, right? So for example, 0, 1, 1, 0, right? 1, 1, 1, 1. So what is this? F. What is this? Right? Okay, 6F, right? So any byte could be represented in two digits, let's say, or two characters. Okay, right? So we divide it. So okay, all right, and then we do the substitution. So basically, okay. So we for example, for the row, for the row in here, for the row we take the first one. And for the column, we take the second part. And there is a table. There is a table. We replace the value. Table, design table. Who wrote this table? Not me, not you. The people who designed it. So let's take a look at the table. Here is the table. Okay, that's the table. So the table goes from where? From 0 to F, and from 0 to F. So if I have 6F in here, it should be substituted with what? 6 F A1 A8, right? A8, right? So there's a table. Okay, so this table is invertible. This table is invertible. Okay, if I go for A8, let's try A8. It should be a different table. Okay, the inverse of it is a different table. Maybe it's in here. Okay, that's the inverse, right? That's the inverse. So let's try A8. Where is A? So this is A. 8. Where is 8? 6F here. Yeah, that's 8. Okay.
That's a 0.
What? Good? Am I good? Okay. Alright, so that's easy. So the first step is byte substitution. Byte substitution. and it's invertible. Okay, there is a table for substitution. So when we are encrypting, what we do? By substitution. When we are decrypting, what we do? Inverse by substitution. There's two tables, and it's just a lookup, right? So this is an example. For example, in here, figure 7.7 shows how a state transformed using the sub-bytes transformation. So the figure also shows that the inverse sub-bytes transformation creates the original one. Note that if the two bytes have the same value, their transformation is also the same. So if I have FF transformed to something repeated in your data, it will be the same thing, right? Okay. So as you see, for example, in here, 04, when it was transformed twice to what? To F2 and F2. Why? Because the same table, right? The same table, all right? So that's what we do. Let's go back in here, okay? We start with a state. Where is the state? That's the state, right? The state has how many bytes? 16. Then we would have a completely different bytes, another 16 bytes. Simple, all right? Moving on, okay. So a transformation using, okay, the nice thing about this also, this operation could be done by table, which is easy to do it as a software, okay? And you could use it by hardware. And how we do it by hardware? By having the polynomial, right? Any polynomial you could present it with LFSR, right? And could so you could do it also as a hardware. So transformation is also define the transformation algebraically using the GF 2 to power 8, 2 to power 8 field with the irreducible polynomial. This is the reducible polynomial. So if you have D, what is D? Is the matrix multiplied with the inverse, with X and the inverse and plus Y, it will be converted back, and it could be in the inverse, reverse. Anyways, bottom line, you could do it a presentation by a table, or you could do it by a hardware. So sub-bytes and inverse sub-bytes and substitution bytes transformation are inverses to each other. Alright? So that's how we do it in the hardware. Okay, that's how we created the tables actually. So how we created the tables, I'm not sure how can you see that. We start with a state, right? Right? State. So you take the byte, the yellow box in here is a byte. It's a byte, one of the bytes. Okay, so in here it's a byte. You take it from, you take a byte from here. Any oops. So you take any byte in here. Okay, I'm not sure how to do it now. Okay, you take the byte. Okay, you do the inverse. What is inverse? Is the multiplicative inverse, and the byte to matrix. So that's the byte to convert it to a matrix. Okay. There's, an X matrix. This is the X matrix. That's what, okay. When you multiply them together, will give you the intermediate value, which is C. Then the C, you add it to another matrix called Y, okay, and then makes to byte in here, and then this is the new value. So basically, that's how we create this operation. Shows you how they created that table. All right. And the reverse operation in here. As you know, this could be applied as hardware. So let us show how the byte 0C is transformed to FE by substitution. So basically, we're gonna apply this in here. I'm not sure if you can see it in the board. Check it in your tablet. All right. So first of all, the OC, okay, the multiplication inverse of OC is B0, okay, and then it's represented like that, all right? Multiplying it, okay, so let me go back. So we put it in here, as you see in here, this is the B, the inverse. Then you multiply it with a predetermined matrix, okay, which we know it has an inverse. Matrix in here, multiply it with a matrix, we're gonna get C. Where is C? Let's go back, this is C in here, right? Then after that, what we do, we XOR it, with the Y, which is in here. That's the Y in here, here. All right, and we're gonna get the value of D. All right, which is FE, which is the FE. All right. So that's basically how that table is built. That's exactly how the table is done. And you could reverse it. Reverse the operation. Where is the reverse of the operation? Is in here, right? So if you start from 0, 0, C0, you're gonna end with what? With if you start with FE, I'm sorry. If you start with FE, here, you start with FE, you're gonna end with 0C. Okay?
What's
So-
Y?
What?
What's Y? Y is acting like a key here?
Y is predetermined raw given by the algorithm.
Oh.
So Y is a predetermined, and the box in here is a predetermined, right? By design. All right. So another transformation found is in around is shifting with which permutes the bytes. So shift rows. Now what we're gonna do? The state has bytes. We already played with them. Already changed them. What we're gonna do next? Shift the rows. So we take one row and shift the bytes. We take the second row. And how many rows we have, anyways? 4. So we take the first row. Do shifting. So the first row, how many shifts we have? For row 0, how many shifts we have? 0. For row 1, how many shifts we have? 1. For row 2, how many we have? 2. For 3, how many shifts we have? 3. Okay? If you have an objection, don't talk to me. Talk to the person who designed it. That's how they designed it. Okay? Alright? That's how it is. Alright? So that's what you do, okay? So the second, so we change all the bytes, and now we are shifting in the rows, alright? Okay. Then after that, what we have, like example in here, okay? So if you have, this is the starting, right? When you shift, so the first row, do you shift?
No.
No. The second row, how many times you shift? 1. So the F2 was shifted, okay, came in here. And the third row twice, and the third row 3 times. Simple. Okay? So we need an inter-byte transformation that changes the bits inside the byte based on the bits inside the neighboring bytes. We need to mix bytes to provide diffusion at the bits level. So that what is this? Mixing. We start doing mixing now. Okay, so we start byte switching, then row shifting. Now we do mixing, right? So how we mix? Okay, the determined matrix that we multiply. So we have a constant matrix. Okay, and so the idea here, before we explain this, when you multiply a square matrix with a column, okay, what is the output? Will be column, right? This, what did contribute to this column? Every element in the matrix, as you see in here. So for example, you have, this is in here. So X changed to a value here. How it changed? It was A times X, B times Y, plus C plus times whatever Z, plus D times D. All right. So the value in here is not linear with another value. It's a result of multiple operations on the matrix, right? Okay. So that will increase the diffusion. You agree? You agree? Okay, we'll agree because it's like, you know, multiple operations to give you that. So for example, who contributed to the new value of x? D and T and C and Z and B and Y and A and X. 8 elements contributed to the new value. Alright? So in here, for example, if you have a matrix which is C and C inverse, okay, we always could use this technique in the round going encryption and the inverse when we go back. So that's what we do exactly. So we'll take each column. Now if I'm mixing, we take each column. What do we do with each column? Multiply it with a matrix. So now the values in the column completely different, okay, and mixed. So basically we went through what? The bits, okay? So changing one bit on the byte will give you a different value. Why? Because it's like multiple elements contribute to it. Agree? Okay? Okay, so now we're mixing the columns. I will mix the columns, multiply it with a matrix. Alright? We'll have a completely different value. So the mixed columns transformation operates at the column level. It transforms each column of the state to a new column. And actually the mixing is down to the bit level. Right? Then the inverse matrix is a very simple. What do you do? Multiply the column with the inverse. We go back, right? So the inverse matrix column transformation is basically the same as the mixed columns transformation. Okay? It's just multiply it with the inverse. So basically that's what we do here in the mixed columns. This is the original. When you apply the mixed column will give you this. You apply the inverse will give you back that. So it's inversible. You are good to go. Okay, so far everything we have done, it's invertible. Okay? We do it one way going down, we do it the other way going up when we are decrypting, right? Now the first step is to add a round key. Add the round key. So how we add the round key in here is a very simple addition. There is no talent whatsoever. So you take each column from the columns. What you do to it? What's the size of the round key? 128. So basically you put it in a set and then you add. You add each column, you know, column 1 with column 0 with column 0, column 1 plus column 2, you add them. Okay?
Add or sort?
It's add. It's add. Alright, so you add. Alright? Is there any you know, is there any significance to add a column to column here? Not really. Where is the significance? How we generate the key and the round key, which we're going to talk about in a second. Okay, so in here, in my opinion, it's just adding like, you know, column to column. Okay, the talent where is how you generated the round key. All right, and that's what it's a very complex operation to generate the round key. All right, so key, and that's what they call it, key expansion. We start with 128 key, and we're going to have how many keys? How many? 11. 10 plus 1. 11. All right. Thank you. So to create round keys for each round, ES uses a key expansion process. If the number of the rounds is n, then the key expansion round will give you n plus 1. As simple as that. All right. So how it works? Okay. So basically, if you have, okay, so, okay, so, the word, what is the size of the word?
4 months.
That's true. How many bits? 32. 32, right? So each key out of the 11 keys has how many words? 4. So for the pre-round key, which is 28-bit, has words 0, word 1, word 2, word 3. All right? Round 1 is 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you add these up, this one is 28-bit. Each one is 28-bit, right? All right. So that means how many words do you have to generate? 44. Because we have 11 keys, 11 round keys, right? And each one has how many words? 4. 11 times 4?
44.
44. All right? So we have to generate how many words now? 44. And each 4 will give you 28-bit, which is the key for the round. Simple? Simple? Okay? Let's move on. So that's how we do. So we start always from the key, right? So the key, how many words is the key? 28 bits. How many rounds? How many bytes? 16. Okay? So basically we have 16. So we take the first 4 of your key and you make word 0. So word 0 is a very simple. Just you take the first what? 32 bits. How about word 1? Very simple. You take the next 32 bits. How about word 3? Simple. Take the next 32 bits. How about word 4? 3. Very simple. Right? So the first 4 words are coming from where? From the key. Right? The complexity starts now. Now, how we create word 7, for example? It's coming from XORing the word above it with the word to its left. So you XOR word 3 with word 6, word 3. You XOR word 3 with word 6 will give you what? Word 7. So you take the word above it and to left it, you XOR them together, you get the word. Simple? Right. How? Okay, so 3 we know where it's coming from. How about 6? How are we going to get word 6?
2 with 5.
By XORing the one above it and the one to that its left. By W3 with word 3 and word 5. Right? How can I get word 5? XORing W1 with W4. Right? How about W4? Word 4. By XORing the one top of it, which is word 0. And there is a temporary T4 that we have to find somewhere. Okay? So basically the word 0, 4, 8, okay, these are resulting from XORing the word above it and T4, T8, T10, okay, that we have to find. Clear? So from this picture, we know everything except what? T's. How to get the T. Alright? So how to get the T is very simple. Look in here. Okay? So what you do, you take the word I minus 1. So for example, okay, so if I need to calculate word or word 4, for example, okay, word 4, okay, what is word I minus 1? 4
3.
minus 1 means?
Word 3.
3. So you're going to take word 3. Then what are you going to do at?
Round
Rotate the word. Then Substitute the word, exactly like the rules. And then after that, you're gonna XOR it with what?
With 4.
The table.
XOR it with what?
There's a table next slide.
There is something in Tafel called constant. There's a constant rotation. You have to find it, and that's what get me what? The T, which goes in here. Okay, which goes in here. So that's how we cut. Okay. So again, we're trying to find out. We're trying to find T4. T4. So it equals to what? W4 minus 1, which is W3. You take W3, what you gonna do? Rotate the word, and then substitute the word, and then XOR it with some value in here. You're gonna take out the sub value. Okay? Alright? So, what is missing now from the whole picture in here? I think only this, right? That's the only thing is missing we have to find out, right? So, basically, okay, depends in the value. The value of this is from this table. So depends in the route. So if it's, for example, okay, if you notice all zeros except the first two, hexadecimal. So for round, for example, if you are doing round 4, you're gonna take this, okay, and substitute it here. So this round constant, round constant. Each round has a constant, right? You take it, okay, depends on the round. So if we are doing round 1 in here, okay, this is round, for example, round 1. So we have to take round 1. What is round 1 in the table in here? It will be this one. Okay? Alright? Okay? So basically, we'll go in here. Now I think it's a very easy. So our goal is just repeat. Okay, we have original key. The key is how many words? 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. How many? 16. From these 16, somehow we have to generate how many words? 44. Okay, we'll take 4 for each round. We have 11 rounds, let's say 11 rounds. This is 44. Alright? Every key is easy to generate except the one in the left, which is W4, 8, and 40. Right? So we have to use this formula for that. Because we have to generate first the T. Alright? How we generate the T? We take from the one before it, we do rotation and shift. We XOR it with a constant round constant they call it, and we generate it. Okay? The key expansion routine can either use the above table when calculating the word, or use GF28 field to calculate the leftmost byte line of code, as shown. So you could do it also, you know, in hardware. This way you could do it in hardware. Let's take a look at in here. Show how the key for each round are calculated, assuming that 28-bit cipher key. Okay, so we have in here what we have and box. So this is the key. So that's the key. So what is the size of this key? 28-bit, you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Right away, tell me what is W0? The first 4 words from the key. What is the first 4 words? 24, 75, A2, P3. And that's word 0. Right away, tell me what is the second word? The next 4. What is W1? The next 4. What W2? The next 4. W3 the next 4. So the first 4 words are very easy, right? Now we start calculating. Okay, so tell me, what is the value of word 7?
Word
Hmm?
3, 6, and 10.
You need to use what? No, you need to use.
3, 6.
Okay, so you need. So where is 7 here, right? Where is 7 here, right? So it's coming from
3,
where?
3,
It's ORing this
6,
with this,
and T.
the one above it and the one to left it, right? Okay, and this is how we calculate the T's and all of that. So, very simple. Alright, what do you notice? Do you notice just it's completely, I'm sure you don't notice anything because you cannot see. Alright, but presume that you can see what's written in here. So you'll see it's completely what? Diffused and fused and all of that, right? So each round key in AES depends on the previous round key. The dependency, however, is nonlinear because of the subword substitution for word transformation. The addition of the round constant also guarantees that there's no linearity. Take a look in here, in example 7-8, the 2 sets. So in here, what you have in here, you have key 1 and key 2, and only difference in 1 bit. The same key, same exact key. We just changed how many bits? 1 bit. So let's use it to encrypt 1 data, okay? So when you do the encryption of 1 data, so, you know, okay, generating the keys, not encryption, generating the keys, look how, so this is the rounds, okay, and this is bit difference. So you see how many bit different? Just changing 1 bit in the key. Okay, so in the round 10, okay, how many difference in how many bits are different? 52, 51, 44. Okay, so changing 1 bit is completely change the key. It's completely change the key. Okay, you have like 55 different, an average, let's say 50 bits are different. All right, and that shows that how good the algorithm is. Okay. So the concept of weak keys, as we discussed in this in chapter 6, does not apply to AES. Assume that all bits in the cyber key are zeros. So we start with the data is all zeros, as you see in here. You see round 1, round 2, round 3, okay? It's the key is completely different. If you remember in this, when we tried with the data 0, 0, 0, so we had a pattern. We had a pattern with the key, right? Which make it like a weak key. So in here we don't have that. The key expansion algorithm for 192 and 256 is the same thing. All right. So that's exactly what we do in here, as you see in here. So we have the key expansion box, the orange box in here, okay, and we have round 1, round 2, until the last round, okay. There is a pre-process which is add round key in the first one, and the last one is missing a step which is mixed columns. Okay, so there is an addition in here and there's missing mixed column. And when you go reverse, everything in reverse. So for example, if you look at the block, take a look at block. It starts with what? With substitute byte and shift byte. These are reversed in here, okay? And these in here, they are reversed because they reverse each other. You apply them in reverse. Okay? Take a look at here. So real examples in here, in this section, some examples for, okay, so the following shows the cyber text block created from a plain text. So look at the first plain text, and you have the key, and you have the ciphertext. Completely different. Completely different. And in here, you see the example how things keep changing. You start with the input state, the output state, the round key, until you go to the end in here. Okay, until you go there. It's completely different. Here it shows the state entries in one round. So you start with the input state, after the substitution byte, after the shift rows, after the mixing columns, and then after you applying the key. Alright? So there's complete data, completely, you cannot relate things together. Okay? This is another example. We started with a plain text, zeros. And we have the cipher key and output. Again, it's like completely different. Okay, it doesn't matter what the plain text you use, it will completely diffuse it. Look in here, what we did. Plain text all zeros. Plain text 1. Plain text 2, all zeros except we change one bit in here. So the two texts are identical except one bit different. Okay? And we're using the same key. When you look at the cipher, it's completely different. Completely different. Using the same key for the data, same data, except one bit changes. So changing one bit, either in the key or in the plain text, the result will be completely different.
So there is no way to reverse, to go back to the plain text.
Of course there is, because you have to decrypt, right?
Right.
So if you decrypt, if you use the key and you decrypt this, you're gonna get this. If you decrypt this, you're gonna get this, right? Alright. The following shows the effect of using a cyber key in which all bits are zeros. Okay, so the cyber key all zeros. Okay. Of course, it's crazy to use key like that. Also, that shows you a strength. Okay, it's completely different. Okay. So when you look at, if you analyze, do analysis, AES was designed after DAS. Most of the known attacks on DAS were already tested on AES. So everything was discovered in DAS, it is in ES. Okay. Brute force, you think it's easier or much more difficult? Why? Longer key. So for brute force in 56, so you have how many options? 2 to the power 56. And here how much you have? 2 to the power 128. So much more, right? So definitely. And you know the size of the key is very important to fight brute force. Always. Okay? Statistical attacks, numerous tests have failed. And for differential linear attacks also, no differential linear attacks found for this algorithm. So it could be implemented in software and hardware and firmware. And most of the laptops now they come with encryption, technique, and that will make it encrypted. The algorithm used in AES are so simple that they can be easily implemented using cheap processors and minimum amount of code. And that's the end of the story, gentlemen and ladies. So let's have a break. And we'll come to talk about the modern symmetric cyber keys. So let's talk about the modern symmetric key ciphers. All right. So what we have seen before is like simplistic, right? The data that we transfer is not one block, right? There are many blocks. Right? I mean, if you're encrypting your hard disk drive, it's like millions of blocks. If you're sending like big files, it's many blocks. All right. So how is it done? Okay. All right. So symmetric key encipherment can be done using modern block ciphers. Modes of operations have been devised to encipher text of any size flowing either DES or AES. Alright, so what we do. So there's 5 modes we're gonna discuss tonight. Modes of operation. The first one is the ECB. First one is the ECB electronic code book. The second one is, and this is the simplest one, is a very simple one. Then we have the CPC, which is cipher block chaining, how to chain the blocks together. You see that. Then we have the cipher block or cipher feedback. Then we have output feedback. And then we have the CTR or the count. 5. All right. And again, what's the goal in here?
Confusion.
Yes. The goal is how we can send like many blocks. Okay, blocks. How we chain them together, right? Using the key, the same key. All right. All right, so the simplest mode of operation is called the electronic code book, ECB. Okay, so basically take a look at the figure down there. Let me go here, it's easier. All right, so in here what you have? Plain text, which is n bits. You have key, encryption, n bits. You have cipher 1. You keep repeating the process. So each one is independent, right? Each one is independent, right? Right? Okay, there is no chaining, all right? Is there a security, and the reverse, in here, the same thing. We have cipher 1, decryption, same key, we give the plain text. Is there any problem with this? Is there any advantages or disadvantages? Let's have a discussion.
Speed.
Speed, is it slow or fast?
Slow.
Fast, right? Independent, okay?
So it's gonna be each plaintext. It's at the same time, or like it has to finish
No.
this one.
It's sequential. Sequential, blocks after block, okay?
That's
Or in parallel, that's fine, it could be in parallel, there's no problem. If they are independent, it could be in parallel. So if I have like 20 blocks, I could encrypt them at the same time, there is no problem, alright? Alright, so is there a security breach in here? Can you think of a security breach? Security problem?
Missing blocks?
Huh?
Missing blocks?
Missing blocks? Why there is missing blocks?
Something happened?
So let me tell you, if there is a block, one block called, or the block is I love Bridgeport in the beginning of the transmission. And there is another similar block called I love Bridgeport. What would be the output? Same. Okay. So if a similar text encrypted or similar words encrypted, okay, and they give you the output, do you think that like a hint for the cryptanalysis or no?
Yeah.
All right, right? Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's say that, end of the month, there is a report of your salary to the bank to pay you, right? Right? So that's how we get paid, right? We don't go to checks anymore, right? You see the deposit comes to our right? So somebody gets the message, everything is encrypted. But for a reason, he could know where is the section that tells about the deposit amount. And he just gets cut salary, the encrypted data, and take my pay stub and change it to his salary. His salary like 20 millions a month, and my salary like $500. Right? Is it good or bad? Bad, right? Good for me, but it's bad for security, right? Alright? Alright, so it's very simple. Okay, you could have like parallel encryption. Each one does not depend on the other one. So, but this is not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. It's a very simplistic. Okay. All right, and the other thing is a very simple why. Why you call it book? Why they call it book? What's the name again? I forgot. Code book. All right. So code book. So if the key is, let's say the key 2028 bits. So how many possible keys you could have? 2 to the power 28. All right. And if the block is n, so how many possible for the data? And so you could create a book for each of these keys with all the possible data, or 50%, or 40%, right? Right? And then you could look for this pattern in the. You understand what I'm talking about? Maybe not. Right? Now, if you have the word equal n and the key is k, right? So what are the possible options? 2 to the power k and 2 to the power k. So I could create a book, okay, for the first key whatever, key 100. And I could put like all the possible text and the cipher using that key, right? I don't have to do it all, but like certain texts, the common texts that you use, right? Okay. And when, let's say I grab a message, so I could look for the patterns in the message that matches certain of the patterns in here. I will be able to know the text. All right. Of course, you're not going to do it manually. You could write a code for it. You could write a code. Okay. What if, for example, the key, let's say they could narrow down the key. Let's say the key is 128 bits, for example, equals 128 bits, right? What for a reason that you know handle of this key, so you could narrow it to how much? To 128 minus 100, narrow it down to like 2 to the power 28. Okay, all right. So that's the work of encryption analysis. I mean, we try to do statistical analysis, doing different things, narrow things down. But you could create an electronic book. This key, this is all the possible combinations. You don't have to do all the possible. You're looking for patterns of data. So you encrypt the text that you're looking for. Okay. So for example, let's go to the example of the salary, Scott. So Scott, like salary, let's say, not 5 million, let's say $100,000 a year, right? All right. So I encrypted with this key. I'll have like a pattern in here. Okay. Better than this, salary, the word salary, or deposit, for example, deposit. I encrypted, okay, using, keys, okay, and then we'll generate a pattern, right? So I look for this pattern here. Then when I see this pattern there, that means the word is what? Salary, okay, or deposit. And then after that, what we'll have? The amount, for example, and so on and so forth. You could play all the gears. Bottom line, having single key, one key for all the data encryption is a problem. It's not a good thing to have. Clear? All right. So it can be proved that each plain text block at Alice's site is exactly recovered at Bob's site because encryption. So basically, it's just reverse each other, right? Anyways. Alright, how about the error propagation? If there is an error in transmitting, for example, there is error in this block. Okay, does error propagate? No. It's like independent work, right? So you have plain text 1, you encrypt it, C1, you send it, the data get corrupted. Has nothing to do with other packets, right? Has nothing to do, so there's no error propagation, right? Alright, so a single bit error in the transmission can create error in several in the corresponding block, in the block itself. However, the error does not have any effect on the other blocks, right? You agree? Okay. Alright. So, how about stealing? Okay. What is stealing? What ciphertext is stealing? Alright? Like, you have multiple blocks. Block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, right? Okay? So if you have the last block is short, what usually you do? Pad it, right? But actually padding is not a good idea. It's not a good idea because usually if you do stream encryption, so you're reading and writing right away, it has to be the same size. So padding, you are changing what? The size. So there is another technique, it's called stealing, right? So basically, you know, you have, for example, block here, block 1, block 2, block n minus 1, okay, and n, block n. So this is 1, 2, all right? 1, 2, okay. All right, let's say the size in here, 128, 128, 120. All right, so typically padding, you're gonna make it what? Okay, we wanna keep it the same size. So what you use, a technique called stealing. And here what you do, so for example, so the plain text n minus 1, which is n minus 1 there, okay, you encrypt it, okay, all right? So that's the cipher n. That's the cipher n. You take the x, which is the encryption, and you send the head, m bits head of it only. And when you go to the plain text and you tail it with the difference, like in our example there is like, what did they say here? 8 bits short, I think. Yeah, 8 bits short, okay, all right, and so basically, bottom line, okay, I sent these two, the last two blocks changed, but the same size, and I use these two formats. Okay, I use these two formats. So. So the P n minus 1, okay, has n bits, which is 28 in our example, right? And the Pn has m bits. So definitely the m is less or equal than n. The last one, okay, is less, right? It's less than. So basically what we are doing in here, okay, the packet which is Pn minus 1, the Pn minus 1, how many bits we have? N, all right? How about the Pn, how many bits it has? M. And the difference in here, what they call it? N minus M. Alright? In our examples, N equals, for example, 128. So this the M will be 8. Will be 120, I'm sorry, 120. And this is 128 minus 120, which equals how much? 8. this will be 8, and this is 120. So what we do, okay, we take x, what is x value? Let's do this. Okay, what is x equals to, we're gonna encrypt, right? Encrypt using the key for what? We're gonna encrypt the Pn minus 1, which is this before the last one. Okay? So what is the size of x? 128 bits, right? Right? This is, how much is this? 128. You encrypt it, we're gonna give you 128 bits in our example, right? Okay? So I take the head m size of x. So the x in here, I take the m, the first m bits, which is in our case how much? 20 bits. I save it where? In cm. Alright? Then you understand. So this is 128 bits, 128 bits. Then I take the 120 bits, okay, the head of it. Okay, the head of a 2020 bit, okay, I create another play y equals Pn, what is Pn? The last one, right, which is how much is Pn? 2020, right, okay, I tail it with what? Tail n minus m for x. So in here I did not send the whole x, I sent only 120 bits. How many is remaining? 8, which is in here. 8. And in here, 120. Right? Okay? And then the Cn minus 1 that I'm gonna send, it will be encryption for the y. Y, how many bits? 120 bits. Okay? So, I stole, what I did basically, if you, take a picture of this, you read it, whatever you want to do. So basically, I did not pad. I took the last 8 bits from the previous, and I consider it like it's part also of the file. So in here it has 128 bits, right? I took the last 8 bits, I consider it also repeated here and in here, and then I did the encryption. Simple. Good? I feel I'm speaking French. No?
But the similar words will create an issue, right?
What?
Now the last 8 bits are similar to the previous last 8. Okay, so similar words in the previous example may cause an issue. So this also can cause an issue, right?
What issue it can cause? So basically, I have to get 8 bits to here. And instead of creating a dummy 8 bits, okay, I got them from where? From the encrypted data of the 128. So I encrypted this, it's gonna give me 28. I took the 8 bits, I added them in here.
Aren't the encryption switched for the last two?
Switch, yeah, I think they were switched, yes. Alright. So the idea here is not to get dummy bits because anyways. Alright. So in CPC, there's another technique, CPC. This is a more realistic one. In CPC mode, each plaintext block is exclusive or with the previous ciphertext block before being encrypted. So let's explain. So you have in here plaintext, right? Alright. So let's take a look at it, plaintext. Before we do the encryption, I look at the cipher from the previous encryption, okay, the encryption of the cipher here, and I XOR it with the B, and then I do the encryption again. So I have to know, basically, I have to know the encryption of the previous block to be able to block this block.
It's like it's gonna be slower and the error propagation is gonna be.
It will be a error propagation, but the problem, what's the advantage in here?
And repetition.
if you have repeated input, it will not be, so if you have here I love Bridgewood, and here I love Bridgewood,
Different.
the output will be completely different. Alright, so in here I have to, before I do the encryption, the same key, all that, I have to get the output of the previous stage, XOR it with the input, encrypted, and then I have C2. I keep doing that. Now where is the problem? The problem with the first one, because I don't have anything. So always I have to share the initial value, which is initial value or vector. Okay, it has to be shared. All right. So where is the problem in here? What is the advantage? That we cannot have repeated ciphers, even for the same plain text, and it's chained. The problem is error will propagate. Error will propagate. All right. And the most disadvantage that I cannot like send things in parallel. It has to be in sequence. So for example, if I'm trying to access data in, let's say that's how I encrypted the database, and I need to get a certain record, okay, and it's saved in the database. If let's say I want to get this record from the database, to be able to get this record, what I have to do?
You need to get all the
I have from the very beginning decrypt, until I get there and do the decryption. But it's safe, it's secure, right? All right.
But in this case, instead of decrypting one thing, you will be decrypting more. You wanna decrypt one data, but you're gonna end up decrypting more of data.
Sure. It will be shared.
Which is not
Yes.
advantage.
Security, more secure. The encryption will be much more secure. So it's much more work for cryptanalysis to encrypt the data. Why? Because to decrypt this, you have to decrypt the one before it. And to decrypt this, you have to decrypt the one before
Which
it.
is not secure.
What?
Which is not secure.
Which is much more secure. Which
For
much
that,
more
for that.
So if you get, for example, if you get just portion of the transmitted data, not the whole data, okay, you try to decrypt it. So you cannot decrypt it unless you know the whole data before.
Yeah, for that data is secure. But for other data,
It's much more secure. Think about it, it's much more secure. At least that was the book saying. Alright. Okay, so it can be proved that each plaintext block at Alice's site is recovered exactly as Bob's site, because encryption and decryption are inverse of each other. So one issue is with the initial vector. The initialization vector should be known by the sender and the receiver. That's another complication. So you not only need to share the key, you have to share also the IV. How about the error propagation? The CPC mode, a single bit error in the ciphertext block, CJ, C for example J, during the transmission may create error in most bits in the plaintext block PJ during that decryption. The same thing, we don't have to do first. We don't have to do padding. We do stealing whenever we need to, beef up the last block. Whenever we need to beef up the last block, we do the bit stealing. Then we come to the third mode, which is the CFB or cipher feedback mode. All right. In some situation, we need to use DES or ESE to secure ciphers, but the plaintext or ciphertext block size are not as very small. It could be a character or a bit. So from the next three modes, it's kind of a stream. It's like not a big block, a stream. So for example, in here, as you see, so how you do it? Okay, so you have first of all, so you have R bits. It could be 1 bit. Could be 8 bits, like a character, right? That's your plaintext. Okay, you XOR it with the key, and you get what? The cipher, right? The cipher data, right? Okay. All right. So Okay, so how it's happening, how we're gonna generate the key. So the key, basically, you have a state, which is in bits, alright? Shift register, actually, it's a shift register, okay? And before, I mean, it started with IV, initialization vector, alright? And in the first time, you don't have to shift it. That's the initial value. Okay, you have to shift it. So, and then you have to encrypt it with the key. It will give you n bits also, but you know, could be 128 bit. But what I'm trying to encrypt, for example, a byte, which is 8 bits. So I take the first 8 bits, okay, as a key, I XOR it with 8 bits, byte with a byte, will give me a byte, right? Now for the next stage, what I have to do with the IV, if I keep it the same, then it will be the same key, right? I did not do anything. So what I do? Shift. Okay, how can I know how many times I have to shift? Who tells me how many times I have to shift? The output of the first cipher. So if the output is 4, for example, how many times I have to shift? 4. Then I have a new IV in here. I continue. Alright? So what is the advantage in here? I don't have to encrypt the whole block. I could break bit. I could encrypt bit by bit, or byte by byte, or word by word, or a whole block by a whole block. So the T could be the whole block if it's like, okay, or any size. Okay, it could be any size. Alright? What is the other advantage? That the key or the value is chained, and the key, you know, we don't, if I have initial value, for example, if the first plain text is letter A, and I have a letter A in here, so the output would be different.
I'm sorry, for the encryption, like, we don't use the plain text, we don't encrypt the plain text there.
There's a plain text in here.
We XOR the plain
So in
text.
here, we don't encrypt the plain text. What we're encrypting? The IV. Okay, but I XORing it with them. Alright, so in CFP mode, encipherment and decipherment use the encryption function for the whole process. So that's exactly what will happen. Cipher feedback mode in a stream cipher. So it's used for stream ciphers, as you see in here. Okay, you start, you know, the shift register. Start with IV and encryption, the data keep going until, you know, and the decryption. Then we come to the output feedback. Is the same thing. Okay. So what's the problem in here? Take a look in here. What's the problem in here? That you are taking what? You're taking the key in here and the output in here, and you're taking it to to decide how many shifts you have. In the OFP, all right. In each mode, each bit in the ciphertext is independent of the previous bit's error. To avoid error propagation, so in here, what we are doing is so in here, in the previous one, which one we used to determine the shifts? So it's the C1, the CI. Now we don't wait for the CI, we use what? we use the key, the previous key. We use the previous key. Alright? So, in the previous one, we have to know the C1 to be able to decrypt. Or to be able to encrypt. To be able to encrypt C2, we have to know C1, right? To be able to encrypt C3, we have to know C2, chain. In here, we don't have to wait for that because what we are using, the key. Okay, we're using the key. The last one is the counter mode. There is no feedback at all. So we use the pseudo randomness in the key stream is achieved using a counter. So basically in here you start with IV, initialization vector, the key encrypted, that's what generates the key 1, key 2, okay? Okay, so we start with MPEG, special plain text, explored with the key. Alright? Alright. So the IV starts with a value, then it's a counter. Increases, increments. So let's say the IV initially 5. Then for the next one will be 6. For the next one, 7. And all of that, right? That's like a counter, increments. Okay? It's not calculated by a register shift, for example. Okay, it's like a counter. Okay, so the counter is encrypted for each block. Is encrypted for each block. Okay, so these are the ones we have explained. The first one is ECB. Okay, so the first one in here, the ECB. Each n-bit block is encrypted independently with the same cipher key. It's used for a block cipher, and the data unit size is n. Right? The second one, it's the same ECB, but each block is first exclusive ORed with the previous cipher key. There's a chain in here. It's a block cipher, and the block is n. The next three are stream ciphers. Stream. You could do bit by bit or byte by byte or any size. Okay, on the run you could do it, right? Okay, so these are stream ciphers, and the size of the data could be R, which is less than n or equal to n. Same thing. The last one is again a block. It's like a block. It has to be a block. All right. So basically we were talking about block cipher. Let's talk quickly about two algorithms for stream ciphers. Stream ciphers. Okay. So for example, stream ciphers, for example, the RC4, which is not secure anymore, and A5, which is used in GSM. All right. So all the 5 modes in operations enables the use of block ciphers for encipherment of a message or file in a large units and small units. So it could be a large units, small units. Sometimes pure stream are needed for encrypting small units of data such as character bits. You need to use character bits. So examples, the RC4 and the A51. A51 is used in GSM. Okay, and RC4, it's a byte oriented, so you encrypt byte after byte, byte after byte. Okay, stream cipher in which a byte, 8 bits, plain text, exclusive ORs with a byte of the key. So the key is a byte, the data is a byte, the output is a byte. P is a byte, key is a byte, and C is a byte, right? Alright, so that's RC4. Okay, so basically, you know, you have state, which ranges from 0 to 255. That means 256 bytes. 256 bytes. And this will explain it all, if I can explain it. So basically the way it happens, okay, the first 2 steps in here happens once, all right? The first thing, we have the key, you have the states, okay, which is, so the key is like 128, 250 whatever 256 byte, okay, and that's the key in here. From the key, the input key gonna create how many keys gonna create? 256 keys, right? So the first key for the first byte, the second key for the next byte, right? Okay, so from the key you're gonna generate 256 bytes, right? So you mix the key, and anyways, you're gonna generate 256 keys, right? And the process is very simple. So we have, for example, a byte in here, right? That's a byte, right? Which is 8 bits. You have to encrypt it with a key. What is the size of the key? 8 bits, all right? And you're gonna give you the cipher, right? Where are you gonna get the key? The key, where are you gonna get it? From this box in here, which is the state permutation key. So basically you start with the key. This box will generate 256 different keys. Each key is, what's the size of each key is? 1 byte. So for the first 1 byte, it will give you 1 key. For the second 1 byte, will give you the second key. Okay, all right? All right, so it's like receiving the data, it will encrypt it byte after byte. For each byte, you're gonna need 1 key, and the key is 8 bits, 1 byte. It's given to you from this box, from this operation. Okay. So for example, to show the randomness of stream key, we use a secret key with all bytes set to 0. So the secret key, the initial key is 0. The key stream for 20 values of key is, this will give you this, So from the initial key, to encrypt the first byte, give you what is the key will be? 222. So for the second byte to encrypt it will be 24, and so on and so forth. So it's a completely random. So it says repeat example 85, but let the secret key be 5 bytes. Okay, so that's the secret key. Okay, 15, 202, 202, 33, 68. The key stream, it will be completely different than before. Again, the randomness of the key stream. Alright, so that's RC4. Is RC4 secure anymore? No. RC4 is not secure anymore. The A51, that's the GSM, used in GSM. Okay. So basically it's a very simple idea. It's a very simple. So the plain text frame in GSM, the GSM uses frames. Alright? What is the size of the frame? What's the size of the frame? 288. Why 288?
228.
228. Why 228? It's not our business. GSM decided to 28 the frame size. Alright? That's how it is. Okay? Alright, so 228 bit. Alright, so I need the key stream of 228 and the output 228. Very simple. So in here, what we have in here, we have a key stream generator. Okay, we're gonna generate bit out of bit. Okay, until we have 228 and do the encryption. So secret key, we start with 64 bits. So the secret key starts 64 bits. The secret key, it will generate bits out of bits. How many bits? 228. That will be the key. All right. So I think the green box is clear for us. The blue box, the white box. The only thing we need to study a little bit is the yellow box, right? You agree? Mm-hmm. So there is no magic in here, right? So generate bit out of bit, okay? Until we have 228, then it will, okay? Okay?
Does it always stops at 228?
What?
Does it always stops at 228 bits?
228, yeah.
Always.
Well, yeah, the frame size is 28. the 228. So usually you try to do that. And that's GSM. Okay. Okay. So basically, what is the secret key? So what you see in here, what you're seeing in here, what you have in here, by the way, what you can see in here. Left shift register, right? Okay, right? LFSR. Remember we studied that in chapter 5? Alright? How you create them from polynomial, right? Alright. So basically, what is the size of the key? 64, right?
Secret keys.
What's the size of the key?
64 keys.
64 bit. Alright. So from the 64 bit, I design how many? I'll design 3 LFSRs. The first one has 19 bits, so this is 19 bits. The second one is 22 bits. And the third one, how much? 23 bits. Okay? Okay? The LFSR, it has a seed. So the seed is coming from where? From the secret key. So the first 19 bits, it will be the seed for the first one. And the next 22 bits will be the seed for this one. And the next one will be the seed for this one, right? Okay? So if you add 19 plus 22 plus 23, how much? 64. These are the bits, right? And that's the 3 LFSR, right? If you forgot how we designed this, go back to chapter 5, right? So what will happen, how we generate, I mean, the idea, we're gonna generate a bit every tick, right? So what will happen, okay, it's gonna calculate, and then gonna do the shift. So every time I tick, what we're gonna get? A bit in here, and a bit in here, and a bit in here. They will be XORed and will give you what? 1 bit. So this box is what? In this yellow box. So what was the input? 64 bit. What we have inside it? 3 LSFR, right? Okay, and what's the output? 1 bit. Okay, every tick will give you 1 bit. So that's exactly what we have. This graph is what is inside that yellow box. Alright? So at a point of time, the clocking bit are 101. What we are talking about? That means the output of here is 1, here is 0, and 1. So they are XORed together. How much would be the output? 1, right? So it will be 1, okay? Anyways, so it will gonna, every tick will generate 1 bit, it will be used and used. So what is remaining in this discussion is the key management and key generation, right? So we said that Alice and Bob, you and I, source and destination, they need to share a secret key between themselves, right? A secret key between themselves, and they have to communicate it. So, so basically, this is like a major problem, because if we have, for example, in here, if we are here like 10 people, okay, so we need to share keys. So I need to share key with him. He needs to share the key with Scott. Scott needs to share the key with me. Okay. So how many keys we gonna need? How many? N times n minus 1. Alright? Right?
99.
So if we are 10 people, it will be 10
It's gonna be 99.
n times n minus 1, right? Which equals how much?
90.
9. Actually, we have to divide it by 2. Why?
44.
Because the key between me and him is the same. Right? It's the same key, so I have to divide by 2. So we need, okay, so we need to, okay, how about if I have 1 billion people in the whole world? All right. So definitely, personal sharing keys and all. How many people like you and I know that we communicate with, right? So there is a whole system we're gonna talk about key management to be discussed in chapter 15. So let's delay discussion about this later, okay? But I promise you there's solutions for that, okay? Then the key generation. So that's key management. The key generation need keys of different sizes. So the selection of the key must be based on a systematic approach to avoid a security leak. The keys need to be chosen randomly. You have to usually these keys, 28-bit and 256, you think that you and I are gonna sit and pick. It's not a password. It's not a password. It will be generated by a system. So to increase security, these keys must be what? Very random. Tremendously random. Okay, random. Alright? And so random number generators are discussed, in different topics, so you could take a look at that. So how we can generate a completely random. So first of all, we have to take care about randomness of the keys generated. There are systems to generate the keys and it has to be completely random. And after that, all of these keys need to be put somewhere, need to be shared, you need to have management, need to be managed, right, for communication. As we move with this book, basically, you'll be a scholar in so the next to this, we're gonna start in part 2. We're gonna talk about asymmetric keying. So we were talking about symmetric. So the sender and the receiver have the same key. Now we're gonna talk about symmetric. Okay, so we'll start as usual with math. We're gonna cover some math next class, and then after that we're gonna talk about asymmetric key cryptography. So there's many of them. There's RSA, Robin, Aljamal, ECC. All of these you have public and private keys, and very interesting algorithms that we gonna cover. And then after that, all right, we're gonna go to part 3, and we're gonna talk about important topics. We're gonna talk about integrity. What's integrity? The data did not get altered. How we can, integral. Remember CIA, whatever you call it, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? Then we're going to talk about authentication, and we're going to talk about key management. So in chapter 11 we'll talk about message integrity and message authentication. How make sure that the message is not altered and it's authentic. So you could receive a message from me, okay, and it's from me. It's from me, and says that your grade is A. It's not integral. Somebody has changed it. All right. Or you could receive a message from me. I tell you there's no class next week, and it's definitely coming from me. All right, but it's not integral. So how we can have the integrity of that. Okay, then after that we'll talk about very important topic which is digital signature. So now when you have a contract, what do? Sign it in the paper, right? That's analog signature. That's your handwritten signature. Now every day is by digital signature. Why I need to have a digital signature? I need to know the sender, right? Not repudiation, right? So how is digital signature is done? Okay, that's in chapter 13. Then again, after that we're gonna jump to chapter 14. We're gonna talk about entity authentication. What is entity authentication? Like biometrics, like how to authenticate accounts and all of that. Then after that we're gonna talk about in 15. Remember what is in chapter 15? Key management. And that's you're going to talk about the key DC and all of this is a very important thing. Then after that we'll jump to what? to network security. The name of this course. What's the name of this course? Network security, right? Network security.
December.
Huh?
December.
Network security. And the funny thing, and this is very important. You see, this is, I mean, I don't know who called this course network security. It's not me. I'm teaching the course. All right. So, but you know, in the network security, I mean, when you talk about network, what comes to your mind first?
Firewall.
Security.
The OSI reference model. Physical, right? All right. Very interesting. And this is the chapters, the most interesting chapters in the network security. So we start about security. The security is applied in the last 3 layers, in the application layer, right? All of us use it. Okay, like BGP and S/MIME and all of that. This is in which in level 7. Then you go to after that we're gonna talk about the security where? In the transport layer, right? So can you give me example that every day we use it? SSL and TSL, TLS, right? So we're gonna learn that. So we have security at the application level, and then we have security at the transport level, okay? And then the last thing, which level we have security? Right? The network layer that, you know, we have. Did you hear about IP security? IPsec, right? So security at the network layer like IPsec, all right? So interesting. I mean, which one? I mean, do we always have the 3 levels, or only the network? Okay, or only the transport, or 3 or 2 of them? What is the combination? Okay, so basically, seriously, you know, once we finish the last chapter, I mean, you will feel that you really understand security. Okay, because you have the basics of encryption. Okay, you have the basics of the math, good math. Then you'll go all about all the so the KIA, you know, how you use encryption for confidentiality, how you use encryption for integrity, and how you use it for availability. And then you learn about authentication and authorization. And then you learn about the application level, transport level, and the network level. So I think you'll be happy at the end of the semester. You will be tired, but you'll know. And then we need to start a certain point in the other book about cyber security analyst. Okay, and that would be fun also. That still you do a lot of work there. Okay, as a group you'll be working there. All right. So I think, you know, we have a good plan. Is my time up yet? 8:30.
15.
All right. Thank you so much.
Professor?